Welcome back, episode 9. I'm joined by Jose Shorty Torres, or you want to call him Shoddy. I don't
I
know.
mean,
Whatever.
episode 9, it always changes. So I get the stutters like Shorty, Short Daddy, Short King. What else have I put? I was gonna do like Puff Daddy Shorty, but right now that's just not a good thing. So yeah, it's always a nice little mixture.
Yeah. Well, I thought I'd throw myself a little nickname, Lucky or Lukey, whatever you want, however you want to pronounce it. I thought I'd have a little bit of fun with it too. So, hey, that's
Well,
what we like to do. We
I
like to have fun.
always I always feel lucky when I'm sharing an episode with you.
Okay. I'm feeling the love. I like it. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. No, but I don't know how you want to pronounce it. You want to call it Lucky, Lukey. I just threw it up there, and then people watching this, they can figure it out, and they can, you know, I don't know. I
I've
don't know.
never
Like
looked at the
I,
word lucky and somebody say Lukey, but I mean, sure, whatever, Irish, Scottish, Finnish, whatever, different countries want to say it. Sure, that works too.
yeah. You know what though, man? And so I've always been known as like Luke, but like I never had too many people call me Lucas. I've had a couple of people ask me, "Oh, your name's Luke. Are you spell like Luc?" I'm like, "No, I'm English, thanks." Or like like I speak English, so no, I it's. But I've had a kid I played hockey with as a kid because Canadian, so here comes the hockey jokes. But yeah, I had a kid I played with, and his name was Luke, but he was Luc. Very French family, the whole 9 years. Like grandparents didn't speak a word of English. The whole like you're getting the French package right there. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I know a kid that was named Luc, and I thought that was awesome. But I was like, so what do you like call him? What do I call you? Like Luck? He's like, well, yeah, but just call me Luke, man. I'm
Hmm.
not like I don't speak French everywhere. Like I speak English. It's all good. But yeah, so I know a guy named Luc. But yeah, and I've never been called Lucky. So it's actually kind of crazy. But I will say a teacher in school when I was a kid, she used to call me Lukey's boat. I'm like, why? I don't get it. Like Lukey's boat. I don't understand. But she's like she's like a music teacher, and there's a song called Lukey's boat, and for whatever reason, it was like a song that I really enjoyed. So then she just started calling me, "Oh, Lukey's bow is here," and the teachers like turn their heads like, "Who?"
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. That's just like one nickname I got. I got a lot of bad nicknames actually, but um, I don't think if I was a fighter, I don't think I would use any of them. So yeah. That's a little bit about myself and my nicknames and whatnot. And I know, like I've asked you how you got the whole Shorty thing, but yeah, man.
Shorty, I was a really fat baby, so technically I was called Fat Boy. And so I can't say only one person in my whole life calls me that. And that's like my dad's best friend. That's just his nickname he gave me when I was a baby, and he's always
Yeah.
called me that. But pretty much in Spanish, gordito. And I started another podcast with a friend, and when we were doing his episode, he's like, "You ever had any nicknames?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm Mexican. Like Mexicans are jerks, dude. We're so bad emotionally when it comes to like, for example, my nickname as a kid was Fat Kid or Fat Boy. So
How
pretty much in
how would
Spanish
you
is gordito. So it's like gordo,
okay.
but when you say ito at the end, it's like little kid or baby. So it's gordito, and so I was Fat Boy. And dude, my dad's best friend calls me Fat Boy. It's nostalgic for me, but given it's only specific to him that he calls me that. But the fact
Yeah.
is, like, people don't let you forget, dude. I'm in shape. At times, I have a six pack. I'm, ripped at times. I'm weighing 135 or 125, and I don't know. Or hey, fat kid. Hey, gordito. Like, people don't let you forget your insecurities from when you were a kid. Like, somehow, once you get that nickname, people will never forget it. So it's kind of like in Super
Yeah.
Bad where Seth Rogen, or not Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill kicks the soccer ball. He's like, "Hey, Seth, go get the ball." He goes, "How about you go piss your pants again?" He's like, "Dude, that happened like in the fourth grade." He goes, like, people don't forget. Like, that's pretty much that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I have plenty
Yeah.
of nicknames, short kid, all that stuff, but Gordito is the main one.
I feel like as a kid, when you do something really embarrassing or if you get a really bad nickname or, I mean, it doesn't really mean shit, right? Like, but you get a nickname, whether it's because you did something or you looked a certain way or whatever, but and you're not like that when you grow up. Again, like, yeah, I don't think it ever goes away. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple ones. I didn't want to throw it out here, but for the record, this is nothing. This is not anti-Semitic, or this has nothing to
Oh
do with
God.
racism. So in grade, so for the
It's
longest time,
real quick. I again, I've done a couple podcasts throughout the week, and one of my podcasts that I just posted, my cousin messages me. He goes, "I know you immediately say, hey, I just want to say this with no disrespect, but," and then I like start talking shit about somebody. He goes, "Dude, it's still disrespect. It's like saying, dude, not to be racist, but," and then you just somehow say something. You're like, "Dude, that's racist as hell." And I'm like, "Ah," but I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but I get it. So I
no,
get it. I'm just go ahead, continue.
no, no, no. So, for the longest time as a kid, I usually had like the long hair. They call it the hockey hair. Like you have like all the kids have like the hair. It's like in your freaking face and my eyes and all that. And I have it like down to maybe not my shoulders, but like a good reasonable length. And I had it for such a long time. And then I had it like relatively long for between like I don't know, I was about maybe 10 to about maybe or like 8, 9 till about 11, 12. And then for whatever reason in grade 12 or excuse me, grade 12, grade 8, I decided I was like, "Hey, I'm going to shave my head." And everyone's like and for the longest time people are like, "Luke, what the fuck do you shave your head, man? You look like a fucking baked potato, man." and and I was like, "I don't know. I just something I want to do." And then someone's like, "Man, it's like you look like a skinhead, man." And then out of nowhere, people started calling me skinhead, and people call me
Oh
skinhead,
God.
head, all of that. And then one teacher kind of caught on, and someone called me skinhead, and just casually, and I was good with it. Like I didn't care, and nobody was catching on what it was meaning. People were just calling me skinhead. Oh, your head's shaped right down to the bone. And the teacher
Hmm.
starts coming out with this like 10-minute lecture about skinheads, what it actually means. Everyone's all kind of quiet, like, do we keep calling him skinhead? Next day,
Yeah.
sure enough, in the out in recess, yeah, the kids are all like, "Hey, skinhead." I'm like, "Hey, we're gonna get in shit for this." He's like, don't fucking worry about it. But yeah, that kind of died down. And then once in a while in high school, you get that one guy that didn't even go to high school or didn't even go to public school with me. And now in Canada, you just have public school and then you have high school. Um, and the kid didn't even go to school with me in public school. He's like, "Hey, skin." I'm like, "Bro, that died out like 3 years ago,
Mhm.
man." and yeah, and then honestly, everyone just started calling me Kelly. There was no Luke. Luke did not exist. It was just Kelly. And it kind of worked because Kelly can be a very gender neutral name as well. So it kind of worked out. I was like, all right, I'm good with that.
Yeah, man. I know when I did sports, depending on the sport and how respectful or serious we were, and depending on how the coaches reacted, it was sometimes last name or nicknames or middle names or first names, especially in a Latin-based high school where my graduating class, we had two campuses, the two main campuses. We had technically five, but our two main campuses, just seniors, one campus had 2,000 students, and another campus had 2,000 seniors as well. So I graduated with like 2,500 seniors on my side, and I think there were 2,500 or around 2,000 in the other school. My school is a little bit bigger. So, especially all being Hispanic or Latino, dude, no one, like you say Jose, like 12 people in a classroom of 25 are going to turn around and be like, "What's up? You called me?" Like, even if your first name's not Jose, like your middle name might be Jose or something, you know? So
Yeah.
everyone works on nicknames. Like Jose Chepe Marisco, who fights in UFC, we grew up together, and people are like, "Oh, dude, Jose's a good fighter." We're like, "Which one?" You know, they're like, it'd be like Chepe or Shorty. You know, so everyone
Yeah.
had to be very specific. Everyone has a nickname, especially if you have such a common name. Luke is not as common, but again, compared to Jose, Carlos,
Oh yeah.
Enrique, Sergio, all that stuff, it's like so it all depended on the day. But dude, it's been fun. I was telling you off air before this. Was rolling around with Lazy Boy, and we have the garage down here now in Florida, in Vegas. It's about 115 degrees right now, which is like 45 or give or take, like 45, 43 degrees Celsius. So
Oh
dude,
well.
it's hot as shit. It's hot as shit.
Yeah.
And
No
so
doubt.
we're in the garage, and the garage door is closed, so it's just humidity. Um, and him and I are rolling around, and I was telling you like, "Hey, I'm gonna be 5 minutes late jumping on here." He's like, "Oh, let's do one more." I'm just like, "All right, man, let's do it." And literally getting ready for all this is what my hair's all messed up. Like I was just drenched, just sweaty. Like we're just standing there talking, sweating. then we started rolling and slipper all over the place and all that stuff. So it's been pretty cool to have Lazy here. Lazy's back. He just been announced that he's fighting at the Spear. I believe that's
Yeah.
September 14th. I could be wrong. But he's
Yes.
fighting all day Osborne. And
Yep.
I'm not even gonna lie, I'm hating on Lazy Boy because I remember, and I'm trying to use my UFC career as a help and guidance for his. Given my UFC career literally was 2 fights in 2 months, and they're both last minute notices. But I was in the UFC for 6 months trying to figure things out. And I remember after my first fight, they go, "Hey, my first fight was in June." They go, "Hey, you'll more than likely fight in November, December because we got to put you to the back of the bench and then, cycle everyone through. If something comes up, we'll bring you in, but more than likely you're going to fight December." I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah, I'm getting fat and happy and helping these fighters out. And out of nowhere, they go, "Hey, you have a fight in 20 days." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Yeah, you need to fight Alex Perez." Like, and his time was a little different. So I got to fight 2 fights in 2 months, given I wasn't ready for that second fight, still made weight, but wasn't mentally there. Anywho, Lazy, on the other hand, when he fought and made weight, won, had a great thing, he started eating and all that stuff. He's like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna tell the UFC. I think they're gonna do an event." And this is in, I believe, January, February. He goes, I think
Yeah.
they're gonna do an event at the Spear in September. I wanna fight the Spear. So I'm gonna tell them I want to fight the Spear. And I'm like, dude, no offense. Like, that was your first fight. And we no one obviously knew he was gonna gain like 500,000 followers. But we're like, dude, no offense, it's your first fight. And like, we're happy for you. You did well, but you can't really tell the UFC what you want. They will tell you what to do. You can make
Yeah.
suggestions and go, "Hey, this is what I want to fight." Maybe you'll cooperate with you, but dude, UFC wants to do what they want to do. They have their fighters for certain cards. And man, fucking months later, out of nowhere, he goes, "Hey, Shorty, guess what?" I was like, "What?" He goes, "I'm fighting at the Spear." I'm like, "Never mind, never mind. Good for you, buddy. You manifested it. Good for you." But dude, it's gonna be
Well,
such a great event.
you know what though, man? If they don't stick every Mexican fighter on that card, or at least Latino fighter on that card, then what is UFC doing? Like I mean, there are a lot of Latino fighters in the UFC. Don't get me wrong, but eh, I try to explain this to people that like they say I watch MMA, like I watch UFC, but they don't really understand how like so. For example, I was trying to explain like about UFC or like pay-per-view points. Now I know this is just I think a fight. No. This is a pay-per-view. But like I was explaining how pay-per-views work and how certain fighters how they build a card and how sometimes you see a really really huge fight and then you see the rest of the card and no offense to anybody fighting on the card, respect to them, but it's just not as stacked as a card and people are like, well, why wouldn't they try to stack? It's because it's all about how much fighters get paid, contracts, who's fighting, and it all comes down to money, honestly. It
Mhm.
does, but it also comes down to there's so many little inside, and I mean, you would know this. There's so many little behind the scenes stuff that's going on that people don't really understand or like. It's all about when people can fight, what the matchup they can put in, and it really does. The big one does come down to money and how you're going to share the pay per view points and whatnot. But yeah, with this with the sphere, I think I'm not sure who's headlining it. I know I heard something about Sean O'Malley and
Marab.
Marab, yeah, I always butcher his name, Marab. I think that might have been the headliner, but I'm not sure. I think there was a couple other things going on, but yeah, they already have
Or
a
I believe
couple.
Shevchenko Grasso. So I don't know when that
Yeah,
fight is. I
that
believe
would be a
that's at
good
the
one too.
Spear.
That makes sense because Grasso. I mean, that would be the perfect headliner, but I don't know if they would go with it. But I know they got to set up that fight somehow or sometime soon, and it would just make sense. But I know Shevchenko wasn't too happy with the last fight when they kind of had it on the UFC. How do you say that? UFC not
Noche, yeah, yeah,
Noche.
UFC Noche.
Yeah, and I think when they had that last time, she wasn't very happy with the judging and all that, but at the end of the day, you go the distance, anything's gonna happen. But yeah, so I don't know what this card and I haven't really looked up a whole lot because I do really want to watch it, just because it's such a special event. And it's gonna be at the Sphere. And I've never been at the Sphere, but I'm really curious how they're gonna display everything. I think it'd be really cool. And I'm really excited to see how much like what they're gonna put this card together because I mean, there's a lot of good Mexican, especially Mexican fighters in the UFC, and I think it'd be really really cool to see them really showcase. And I mean, of
Mhm.
course, it's gonna be the crowd would be going insane. So um, I don't know. I like to see it. Yeah,
You know, man, something more personal on the judges' side when it comes to Valentina Shevchenko talking about the Alexa Grasso fight, thinking she won, whatever the case may be. I
yeah,
said the same thing on my last fight, and ironically, I said the same thing with my first fight with Nkosi and Nabele when I beat him because it was a very close fight and it went to a split decision and it went my way. In my head, I'm like, dude, I thought I won clearly and I thought I was fine.
yeah,
And then I rewatched the fight later on. I'm like, I still think I won, but I can see where he's coming from. But when you have fights that are that close, and then I won, and then this last one, I'm like, dude, this one I easily thought I won,
yeah,
and then they give it to him. It's like I remember telling him in the first fight, I go, dude, don't blame me. I get you're mad at me, but I didn't do anything. I get paid to fight just as you do. I just fight. You are
yeah,
the one that failed yourself, and you made the fight that close to where the judges obviously had to step in and put in their own opinion. There's no official way to score a fight in MMA. It's very, very weird, not like boxing. So when it comes to that, when I look at my last performance, like, dude, I thought I put on a spectacle. I thought I did a great job, and given I could have done better at certain things. But the fact is, there's that typical quote that everyone says: "Don't leave it in the hands of the judges, because you just
yeah,
never know what's going to happen unless you finish him or her." Dude, you're in that weird, weird predicament where you're like, "Yeah, I won. I'm not worried." And out of nowhere, it's like, "Oh, what? Where's the bell going?" It's like, why are you taking it that
yeah,
way? It's like I thought it was clear. So I get where Shevchenko's coming from because there's been obviously some robberies in the sport of boxing, MMA, many other sports, but at that point, it's to me at least. My opinion is like, dude, you got to blame yourself and go. You know what? I have to do better to now hopefully get more of a dominant win, or obviously best case scenario is get that type of finish, or work towards finishing in every single position you possibly can. I can tell you, he eats me alive, and I'm pretty sure he eats her alive, and that's why I believe this next trilogy fight for them is going to be a fantastic fight. And I do believe it's at UFC Noche because I know Alexa Grasso had a photo of like standing outside the spear, staring at it and stuff. So I'm pretty sure it's then. It would make sense that it would be then, but
yeah.
yeah, we'll see. Plus, again, the states bring their own judges. I can't remember where Shevchenko and Grasso fought last time. I don't know if it was UFC Mexico or somewhere else, but if it was Mexico, okay, I can see some bias in the judges because it's going to be Mexican judges primarily. But UFC Vegas, dude, it's Nevada. It's Nevada judges. They could be every single race, religion, creed, whatever the case may be. So they could be Ukrainian, they could be Russian, they could be Mexican, they could be Chinese, they could be whatever. So hell, they could be Adelaide Bird. You pay her enough, she'll definitely go one side. So you never know where it's gonna go. So I'm definitely excited for that fight. But I think being at UFC Noche, um, because of the name, it doesn't help. But the judges, I don't believe it matters whatsoever.
Oh, absolutely not. And the thing is about like bad judging or when people say it's a robbery, there's a few fights where I think even Dana White and every person watching went and said like if I was betting on this, I would be like, you better give me my money back. Like there's one that reminds me, and I think we talked about it last week. We were talking about Johnny Hendricks when he became a police officer and all that. But Johnny Hendricks and George St. Pierre. God, I love GSP. And, he's a Canadian. I always have to go for my Canadians, but I watched that fight and I even looked back and said, George, you lost that fight, man.
Yep.
Like you look at there was no doubt. There was no doubt that Johnny Hendricks won, and he still didn't get the belt, and it blew my mind that the GSP still won. And even GSP, I'm not saying that he was gonna give up the belt and retire or like walk away from the sport because of it, but you saw that look on his face, and he just seemed like he just wasn't in the fight. And I think he was going to stop, and I think he was already almost defeated even before the fight started. And I think we talked about this with Dustin Poirier when he went and fought Makhachev, and I hate when fighters kind of talk about, oh, this could be my last fight. I hate that talk, but also sometimes they can go in your favor and sometimes they can't. And but sometimes I just don't like that feeling. It's almost like you're already kind of defeating yourself here, like, oh, this could be my last fight, and I don't know, man. Um,
It's a mindset, you know. Look at
Yeah.
Robbie Lawler. You know, he's like, no matter what, I'm gonna retire. And then his last fight,
Yeah.
he freaking dominated against a young prospect, and you're like,
Yeah.
dude, I don't know if you should retire. Like, you look really, really good. Like, a lot of us fighters are like, dude, you go out on your shield. You know, if you lose, then you finally lost it. Go out. You know, Frankie
Yeah.
Edgar, all these other guys, Dominic Cruz, possibly if he ever retires, technically, all these other fighters. But you know, for him, he was just like, yeah, no, I'm going out on my terms. Dustin Poirier, George St. Pierre, eventually when he came back, but other fighters as well. It's that one foot out of the door. So if they lose, technically, hey man, I kind of expected this. I was ready to go out anyways.
Yeah.
But some of them, and again, it's all your mentality. Some of them are like, dude, it's my last fight. Who cares if my arm breaks, my foot, I can't walk after, my knee ligaments break, or whatever the case may be. Like, let me just go in there and give it my best. And if I lose, you got me. You know, my last fight, I could say goodbye MMA compared to look at Michelle Watterson. Michelle Watterson's like, all right, I'm gonna retire more than likely after this fight. She went in there, she got dominated by Julian Robinson. Was like, you know what, man, this is a smart decision. I can't compete with the people who are in their prime anymore. Like Jillian, she's I believe 29, 30. You know, so
Yeah.
it's like I can't do this
She's
anymore. I'm already at the tailor end of my career. Uh, that's it. Compared to Andre Arlovsky, he's like, yeah, my contract's over, and you know the UFC released me as well at the same time, coincidentally. But I'm still gonna fight because I know I can. I know everyone's talking shit about Andre Arlovsky and oh, that was a shitty performance. Like, dude, he was fighting a guy in his prime, and they went
yeah.
back to back. Don't blame Andre Arlovsky. Andre's 45. Like,
Yeah.
technically, you kind of expect that type of performance out of him. You should start talking smack about the other guy who's barely in his 30s and he's
Yeah.
going toe to toe with this 45-year-old. Like, dude, honestly, give Andre some credit. That's awesome. And that's why he's like, even though I lost and it was a very close fight, not exciting, but a very close fight, I might as well go to a different promotion, still get paid, probably somewhere in Russia, and just keep on going and see where it goes from there. And then once he feels that he's done physically, then it is what it is. And heavyweights have a longer career than small guys. We have to cut weight
That
and
is true.
we take more damage, all that stuff. Compared to heavyweights, you take one punch Francis Ngannou, damn, I got knocked out. All right, well, it was just one punch. I'll come back in there and fight again eventually. So it's very, very different.
Well, and one thing to remember with Andrei Arlovsky is, I'm gonna be honest with you, he looked pretty damn good in his last. Oh, I mean, I know he actually has fought a lot in his last, few years of his UFC career, but like in some of the fights I saw, he was like hanging it, like he was winning fights. No, he wasn't knocking
Hmm.
anybody out, I don't think, but he was winning fights convincingly. Like he was hanging in there with these guys, these hungry lions coming up there, and I was like, damn, and I knew he was getting up there in age. I didn't know he was, like, at the time, maybe he was 42, 43. I remember one fight, and I was talking with a friend, and he's like, "Hey, you betting on the fight today?" I'm like, and I was like, I was about to just put him on mute because, like, I'm trying to enjoy the fight, and my phone keeps blowing up. It's driving me crazy. But he's trying to talk. He's like, "Yeah, Andre, I think he's done. This guy. I can't remember who he was fighting. This guy's prospect." I'm like, "Just watch." And
Hmm.
I was very impressed. I mean, and I'm not trying to talk about this guy like he ain't shit, but it was just the fact that you just look at facts. The guy, he was 43, the other guy was maybe 30, and the guy just, you just look at it and you think, okay, well, the guy might have more advantage, but no, Andre just went in. But like we've seen that even with Glover Teixeira, like the guy was like 42 years old and won the belt. Mind you, yeah, maybe he wasn't, maybe he didn't win it from somebody that I'm not to say, but like
Yeah, yeah.
he fought, and then he went and fought Yuri Prohaska when he was up there, and then went and defended it against Jamal Hill. Like, I mean, and he went like a good, I think, five, almost 5 rounds. Or he did go 5 rounds with Jamal Hill. Like, it's crazy how these guys like. But again, I mean, when you're at that kind of weight class, it is easier to go for longer career. Like, I don't know if you heard there. I think ONE FC is talking about having that boxing match with Rashad Evans and Quentin Rampage Jackson. And I mean, both those guys, I mean, one's 46 and one's 44. And I do like I like it. I think it's cool. I mean, if the guys are medically good to fight, why not? I mean, I think both those guys, I think they're both in the same boat where they're both coming into boxing, from coming from a MMA background, which I do like that. So they're both coming in that same kind of idea. Whereas I don't particularly like watching a lot of these MMA guys coming to boxing. Unfortunately, I think it's a completely different it's a different sport. Honestly, like we've seen some of these MMA guys coming into boxing, and they're just getting they just don't know how to. It's like it's a completely different kind of fighting. For the exception, like guys like Mike Perry, who went from MMA right into bare knuckle boxing, it just seems like that just is right up his alley.
Hmm.
Um, but then you look at someone like Anderson Silva, and I think he's actually done very well for his age and what he's done in his boxing career post UFC. I think he's done really good with just what he's done, and I think he just had that fight with Chael Sonnen, which was a draw. But I mean, still, he's still boxing. Like
Hmm.
that's crazy, and I think it's good for him because obviously he can't move his body like he used to 10 years ago, but I mean, you look at him and he just has to worry about the hands, and I think he's still quite good with his hands. So, you watch some of these guys, it's great to kind of see a lot of these guys coming out and doing something different. Now, I don't know if this fight's going to happen, but if they do, I think it'd be very entertaining. I'd watch it.
I'm the same way. I'm not a huge fan. So here's the pro and con of it. Look at the MMA fighters again, Rashad and Rampage doing a
Yeah,
boxing event. It's the same thing, just older and a little bit thicker than Masvidal Nate Diaz. It's the same
yeah,
thing, I believe. But with Masvidal Nate Diaz, you have two guys that are known to be strikers. Given Nate Diaz, is obviously a phenomenal black belt
yeah,
in jiu-jitsu, but he's known to stand and bangle people and only go down to the ground when he's taken down. Like I don't believe he's ever really deliberately gone for a takedown. He's like, dude, let's stand and bang. And oh, you're a wrestler now. And then these
yeah.
guys shoot
Him and
in, he
him
guillotines
and
him or do it
McGregor.
does
Yeah,
Connor.
yeah,
Yeah, so like and then he does whatever. So having Masvidal known as the bare knuckle guy back in the day with Kimbo Slice in backyard brawls, and then he did being the West Hood guy of like, man, let's just go. Let's just swing first
yeah,
type of thing. Um that's fun because it causes drama and it's two people that are primarily strikers and want to stand and bang. So that's fine, given they're not technically as good as what you'd see in boxing. But I can definitely tell you this: the co-main event, I believe, was but it wasn't Bernard Hopkins, Mosley Jr. Shane Mosley Jr. versus Daniel Jacobs. Dude, that was a boring fight, and I
it
love both
was.
competitors, but that was a boring fight. These are against world champion level boxers, and then you
Yeah,
had the main event, who was Nate Diaz and Jorge Masvidal. Not as good at boxers, but I think because they're both scrappers, it just made it that much more entertaining. Like, dude, even though they're not influencers, but they're MMA fighters doing boxing, a whole different sport. And trust me, when you get in there, it's a very different sport. These guys just want to scrap, so they take a lot of shots. They're throwing a
yeah,
lot, but they're also taking a fuck ton of shots. So it's
yeah,
like this becomes entertaining compared to like again the Daniel Jacobs Mosley fight. They're throwing proper technique, all that stuff, but they're missing a lot. And anytime there was a hard one, it's like, oh, we found. Oh, okay, well, we're gonna wait another 2 rounds to finally get another hard shot compared to Masvidal and AD. They're like
yeah,
it's like sock and boppers. So it was a phenomenal show to watch. Now Rampage and Rashad. Rampage is technically more the striker, but Rashad,
yeah,
he was definitely more the grappler, more wrestler grappler.
definitely.
So
Yeah,
I don't see it to be entertaining, especially and no offense again to any of these guys. They're older. Rampage, I believe I know he fought an MMA fight not too long ago and, or did some type of event and won, but he was also really out of shape when he was in Bellator. So
yeah,
technically, how do you sell that Rashad? Has been retired for a few years now, especially from the UFC and MMA. So it's like I get you guys have names, and that's what we're really going to build off of. But hey, Japan has money. If they're going to sell it, then sell it, and they'll blow it up out there since they're both known out there, especially Rampage for Pride. But
yeah, for sure.
I guess we'll see what happens. But I have been wanting to do. Oh, look at Pettis. Pettis came in,
Yeah,
and no
yeah,
offense,
Pettis
well,
fought
again, no
too.
offense to him, he didn't do that well. He fought a Nate Diaz kind of guy. Same neighborhood. He's like, dude, let's just fight, and this guy just put on the pressure, which is Pettis's weakness, and he just outworked him. And he wasn't
Yeah,
technically better, but he outworked them, and eventually Pettis folded. And it was a hard fight for Pettis, and I believe he's already trying to sign another fight coming up. I don't know if it's a rematch or whatever the case may be. Which again, good for him if he does it, but it's like oh man, you got to stand up for these MMA guys. Like, come on, Bettis, like, come on,
yeah,
Nate and Jorge Masvidal. So I don't know. It's a weird thing how this is all playing out, but I like seeing MMA fighters versus influencers. I think that's just more fan entertaining to me compared to two MMA fighters, unless they're scrappers like Nate and Mazadov. I really don't want to see it.
Yeah, but what I do like is that I mean, I like the idea that these guys who may be retired from MMA, but they wanna try something new because they wanna do it for them. They're not doing it to prove something. They're doing it for them because "Hey, I wanna try something." Good for them. It's the only thing I don't like is guys who take I get it, the money, I get it, I understand, but, like, when you had to, like, Ben Askren fighting, Jake Paul, I look at that and it was hard for me to, like, be sold on a fight like that just because you got a guy who's arguably a very, very great grappler and whatnot, but he had like even when he was fighting MMA, you could just see his stand up was not comparable to someone who has great stand up. And then you have him fight Jake Paul, who okay, yeah, he's an influencer, but the guy's been training boxing. He's got some good skill, but and I give him credit for that. And it's just like it was a hard thing to sell. So I think it's entertaining that, you got guys like Jake Paul who obviously when he's fighting all these guys, yeah, he wants to be hated because that's how he sells the fights, and he wants people to buy the pay-per-view to see him get knocked out essentially. And I think it's great. It's a smart move on him, but I just hate some of these guys that just throw their dignity out there for like millions of dollars. But I mean, you're getting paid, so if you get knocked out, or if someone approached me and said, "Hey, we want some guy to go fight, Mike Tyson, and we'll pay you $100 million," and if I get knocked out in the first round, I'm okay with that. I'm like, just knock me out. I'll take my money.
Well, I mean, hear me out. Then I think this is the thing that a lot of people don't think about. If and this is from
Okay.
my personal experience. Let's just say somebody offered me a title fight. Let's say the UFC was like, "Hey, do you want to take this title fight? Whatever weight class, and here's 10,000, 10,000. But you have a chance of winning the UFC title, and then later on possibly making more money, or a guaranteed $1 million versus this guy that is an influencer, YouTuber, whatever the case may be,
Yeah.
and you might not be as popular, but dude, you're making $1 million. Like, there's the con of the other fight of like, yeah, cool, I can win this UFC belt, but I also might get really, really hurt in the process or beat up and not be able to fight again. Compared to I fight this influencer for $1 million, like, dude, I'm not gonna get that beat up, or we can figure something out. Or even if I lose, like, dude, I just got $1 million.
Yeah.
So especially with our career, dude, I've had hell, even rolling around lazy right now, like I stub my toe. I'm like, motherfucker, hell, the doctor can tell me tomorrow, like, dude, you can't fight for another 2 months because your toe needs to recover, whatever the case may be. The whole McGregor thing, I can't fight now because I broken my pinky toe or whatever. So but there goes money, there goes
Yeah.
time, there goes all that stuff for us. There goes possibly our career, those big opportunities. So it's like, if
Yeah.
that's in front of us, dude, I'm taking $1 million, and if that comes back, the UFC thing, awesome. And if it doesn't, dude, I could have made 20,000 or $1 million. I can do so many things with $1 million for not just myself, my family, or but possible future investments. So I get when it comes, and plus also as an MMA fighter, again, I don't know what your personal job is, but we don't get benefits. Like, we don't get
As you
Medicare,
should.
Medicaid.
But you
I
should though.
believe we should, but
Yeah.
I mean, every other professional career, NHL, NFL, MLB, NBA, they all have something medical, something dentist stuff, something health related. All these, I don't even know the
Yeah.
damn benefits. That's how like poor us fighters are. So if I got to go to the doctor for whatever case, I got to pay fully out of pocket. If I get into any type of accident, I have to pay for that fully out of pocket. So anything that involves, hey, I can make more money, or especially there's no retirement fund for us. Again, Andre Arlovsky, he's like, dude, I'm gonna keep on fighting until I can't anymore. So we're gonna keep
Yeah.
on fighting to make as much money as we possibly can. So hopefully we can just chill for the next few years, like a retirement fund, compared to, damn, I gotta work all the way until I'm 70 or 80 doing whatever job. Hell, look at Jimmy Rivera, Marlon Moraes, and Johnny Hendricks, for example. Johnny Hendricks was a UFC champion, and now he's working as a police officer. Why? Possibly money, possibly benefits, possibly both, and all the above. So it's like, dude, it's we wish we were the select few, Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, all these guys that have so much money that they're
Yeah.
good. But hell, look at Demetrius Johnson, phenomenal champion, but he has other stuff. He does stuff on Twitch. He has his podcast. He does other things. Like he can't just do nothing because we don't have that type of money or revenue to do that. So yeah,
100%.
man, I'll sacrifice some dignity to find an influencer.
Yeah, no, and I guess maybe I wasn't coming out the wrong way. It's just, yeah, I mean, I think if from a fan's perspective, I think that
Oh, for sure.
you would see it like why you gotta throw your dignity out to fight some freaking J Paul. But I get it. Like I get that, yeah, you gotta get paid. And probably after the fight, I don't know if you saw the footage, but he's with his wife, he's smiling because hey, I just won myself, or not won,
Hmm.
but I just got like I don't know how much millions, like he might got
Yeah.
5 to 10 million dollars or whatever it was. And he's like, "Oh yeah," and I'm like, "It's red panty night tonight, honey." Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's yeah,
Dude,
like it's yeah,
look at the boxers who fought this weekend. That the former MMA fighters who are not boxers. I think Masvidal made like 300,000. Pettis made 350,000. Nate Diaz, I believe, made 500,000, and that's just a fight.
yeah,
Again, to win is a whole different thing. I don't know if they make extra money if they win, and I kind of doubt it. But that doesn't include sponsorships. That doesn't include all the promotional
yeah,
publicity they got for building up the fight and their social media platforms growing to where they can gain more money in the long term. That doesn't include whatever other things, incentives. Like, for example, this match is 1-1. They more than likely will have a third rubber match. Like, that makes nothing but sense.
100%.
And the second one, the first and second one were entertaining. So they're going to make a fuck ton more money. Look at Anthony Pettis. He's probably trying to call out the guy for the rematch because he wants to redeem himself. But it's not even just that because we're competitors. Dude, it's a fuck ton of money. He made 350,000. He didn't make that when he was champion in UFC, especially at the time when he was UFC. So it's
Yeah,
like, yeah, man, we're gonna fight and do all these obnoxious things until we honestly can't anymore. And especially we're athletes, dude. We've been doing this for kids, so it's hard to tell us to stop. Andre Arlovski being
yeah.
brought up again.
Well, and it's like that's like the same with a guy like Francis Ngannou who got into the boxing thing because he wanted to get paid, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I just saw there was a post maybe today or yesterday. It was a PFL Africa, and he's gonna be like the chairman, or
The
he's gonna be like
chairman.
the the chairman. Good for him. And a lot of people are like, "Oh, he's the chairman," and he thinking about fighting in the PFL sometime. And I remember somebody commented like, "Why? Why he doesn't have to. He could." And like he's the chairman of PFL Africa. Dana White. He's the president of the UFC. Is he fighting in the UFC? I know at different circumstances, but it's like, why? Why? He's making all his money in PF or excuse me, boxing. What makes you think he wants to go back to PFL and make what $1 million per? I think he can make $1 million per pay per view.
Yeah,
That I don't know
yeah.
what the PFL is
I
doing.
believe
It's
it's.
very
I
very
believe
confusing.
it was like
Yeah,
8 million was a guaranteed per fight, and then 1 million would go to his opponent, give or take. Again,
yeah,
those are the general things. But you also look at fighters in general. You look at the lower fighters, we fight more. Why? Because we don't make as much money. So we need to
exactly.
fight more, not just to advance our career to hopefully one day be champion. But dude, every time I fight somebody, win or lose, I'm making some type of money. I get double if I win in MMA, and boxing is just flat. But I don't make any money for training. Unless I'm training somebody else, dude, that's still not enough. I need to make a living. And some people, I don't believe so at least, have kids and all that stuff. So they need to fight. Champions,
Yeah,
they make more money and they're more valuable. So they don't need to fight as much. And because they're champions, they probably get promoted more so they can do things like Demetrius Johnson, have platforms, be on Twitch, do
yeah,
this and make other revenues of money, to have different avenues. But you look at Prince Ngannou again, people obviously social media, dude. We can say whatever we want until we're finally into that, into the moment or know something about a fighter. For people who don't know, Francis Ngannou just lost a child like a month or two ago. And he's
yeah,
finally, and I train with him at Extreme. He's now finally back to training. I believe either this was his first week or his last one was his first week. This last one was his first week. So it's like he just lost a child, So trying to
yeah.
rush
Okay.
a man. How Ali Bagotinov? I was supposed to fight him in Brave. Given I ended up missing weight, and that was all my fault. But he ended up winning whatever replacement he fought, and was supposed to go to the finals. He was supposed to fight for the flyweight or the vacant flyweight belt, but he had to retire. He goes, dude, hey, I'm gonna step away from fighting in general because his son just passed away. You know, he's like,
Yeah.
I'm not emotionally stable. Hell, I had to back out of a fight not knowing about grief because my father passed away, and then I had to back out of a world championship fight. So again, people don't know the behind the scenes and will always make fun of certain things. But again, it's just one of those things where again, you are also right in the hindsight of like, dude, he's making so much money. Why? I'd rather just go to boxing. Or even if I do make 8 million, like let me plan this proper fight. But this is a
Yeah.
big but. Francis Ngannou, dude, he's a guy from Africa that literally came from nothing. And this is
100%.
why he was able to put a foot down against the UFC. He's like, dude, I don't care if you take all my money. I grew up poor. Like, I was in the third world part of Africa. Like,
Yeah.
I wasn't in South Africa. I wasn't in Morocco or Egypt. Like, no, man, I was poor and doing this and doing that. So if you take everything from me, I don't care. I still have more than what I came in with. And two, like you're not gonna bully me. I know my name. And then you look at his fight with Tyson Fury, you're like, yo, dude, this is like good job. And he just made
Yeah.
a crap ton of money, the most he ever did. So maybe he goes back in the boxing. Maybe one day he fights in the PFL. But I know he's really trying to help his people, and that's why he's a chairman in Africa.
For sure, for sure. No, I had written this down, and I saw you were having some kind of, it was like some chunky green drink that I think
Oh
somebody
God,
made for you.
yeah, Mike.
Was this a
He's
request or was this just optional?
It was just one of those like technically it was optional, but he made a bunch and it was like, "Oh, Shorty, you should drink this." And I'm like, he knows that I don't really care about food. Like I'm one of those guys that, given I'm not cutting weight, but when I'm cutting weight, I just want to eat. I just need nourishment. So I don't really care about the food. Obviously, the taste would help, but I've never
Yeah,
been like, dude, I want this, I want that. I'm just like, I don't care, man. As long as I got something in my stomach and I can feel something in my stomach, I'm fine. I know I have the energy and the motivation to keep on going. A cake or whatever sounds great, but whatever. So I'm eating an icon meal and I'm like, oh, whatever, just eating it. And I don't know, this gigantic green like smoothie comes up next to me. And I'm like, the hell is this? And it just looked like, dude, it just looked like water. And then you just grab grass and just like threw it in there and like shook it up with a fork or a spoon. Like it looked
very well
nasty. And I
could
was like,
be.
okay, well, I was like, all right, well, let me just drink this fast. And I remember trying to like put the very top layer in. I was like, well, and I tried to like swallow, but it was just chunky. It just, again, it was dry like grass. And I'm like, God damn it. It was bad, but I got through it. It was done. It is what it is. I'm alive.
Yeah, man, you gotta try that shit, the super green, superfoods. It's so good, man. So it's not, obviously it's not ideal to replace your vegetables in any meal or whatever. If you're, I'm not just talking as a MMA
Hmm.
fighter, but if you're just into fitness or you're into bodybuilding or you're into whatever, if you're just some health freak, it's not. I wouldn't say it necessarily replaces all your vegetables, but it's a really good or any kind of greens. Like they're pretty much all the same idea makeup. They have about maybe 30 calories or so. It's about the same kind of idea. But anyway, it's really good to drink in the morning. It's really good. Like it has like every sort of like gets all your nutrients and all that. But it's a good way to kind
Hmm.
of start your morning or to do whether you have before a workout or you have it after your workout or training or whatnot. But I really like it. It's really good stuff. But what I really like too is, I don't know if you ever do this, but apple cider vinegar and lime juice with like 500 milliliters of water as soon as you wake up. It's like, I don't know what it is, man, but you drink it and it just wakes yourself up. I know people are into like, oh, you got to do like a cold plunge first thing in the morning. Everybody's got their own
Yeah.
morning routine. But I honestly, like, for me, part of it has been I've been conditioned to do it, and I wanted to talk about mindset next. But I've been so conditioned to do it that I do it every morning, and it's just something that I've done. And there's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of health benefits to it, but it just makes me feel like internally good. It's almost like if you ever get bloated. I don't know anybody that gets bloated in the morning, but once in a while, I don't know what it is. I just get this like bloating feeling, like I just feel like like I
Hmm.
feel it in my face, I feel it in my everywhere, and I just drink it, and then within like 5 minutes, it's all good. Like it does wonders. But I really like that. But yeah, like for you, do you have like a morning routine that you have, like whether you drink
Um,
something or you do something first thing?
I usually nutrition got me into like green drinks, like you recommended earlier. Or sadly, the one I had earlier as well. but I know one is what's the company? They ended up changing their name, but I believe it's called Live Foods, which is like what's the company that's real big right now? I think the UFC almost got sponsored by them. Athletic Greens. Athletic Greens
Athletic
is another
Greens, yeah.
one. Yeah, Bloom has another brand. There's a bunch of different companies that have a green type
Yeah.
of detox drink that has either probiotics or digestive enzymes, or it's a multivitamin as well. I mean, they're all great, and they again, people differ from them. And some of them might save you money because it's all in one. But for me, I try to have some type of green drink in the morning. Just because I'm always working out. Maybe it could be a placebo, but in my head, hopefully, I'm getting some type of probiotics, some digestive enzymes,
Yeah.
and maybe some vitamins in me that I don't usually get, because not all of us get the required amount that we need to every single day. But take that in the morning with 8 ounces of water, which is pretty much give or take 500
Yeah.
milliliters. Um, then I have a cup of coffee, and honestly, the coffee is not even to wake me up. Like, I just drink it black, and usually I put ice in it just to chug it because I just use that to use the restroom. Like, I use that to go number two in the morning. That's it. Like, I'm not using it to wake up. I'm too ADHD. Coffee doesn't work for me. It actually puts me to sleep. And then after that, I'm drinking coincidentally some type of pre-workout to wake me up to get me started to do whatever workout. And I usually fast until 12 or 2 o'clock, depending on what I have already in the day or what time I woke up or I'm waking up. And then after my first workout, I'll get something. So I usually do like a fasted workout. So it's either a fasted cardio session, fasted live session like sparring, and then I'm pretty much good. But I typically don't eat much until the night if I'm doing something like with my girlfriend or my friends, or I'm like, you know what, I can eat this. I haven't really eaten all day. I've worked really hard, especially with this heat. Let me enjoy myself. But
Yeah.
those are the three things I usually have like every single morning: some type of green shake, coffee, and then some type of pre-workout just to caffeinate and wake up. Because that's, I don't know why, pre-workout is like that, dude. That's my shit. Like, that's my crack. Like, I just so it all depends on the day, but that's usually my typical routine. But I also have like, I'm trying to count the bottles right now, like maybe close to 10 bottles of different types of vitamins, and one of them being apple cider, to help
Yeah. It's
detox the
good
body a
shit.
little bit more, to help my digestive system. It's good. Apple cider vinegar is very, very good for you as well.
Yeah, and so when I was I mean I'm not as rigid. Like I have forgotten mornings where I haven't done it because either I have one of those mornings where I'm in so I got a really shitty work schedule. So a lot of my shifts are like 10 to 8s or they're even a 7 to 5, which I mean that's typical. But like like a 10 to 8, 11 and 9s, all that. So like obviously I don't want to get up at like 4 or 5 in the morning, but there's, like, times where I tell people at work, "Yeah, yeah, I got up at, like, 6, 7," and they're like, "Why so early, man?" I'm like, "'Cause fuck, I don't wanna go after work, man." And,
Hmm.
uh, and that's one thing I wanna talk about is mindset. I know we're kinda running up on time, but mindset is, like, like, people that don't understand how strong your mind is over matter, like, people say, "Oh, man, how do you get up early and just go?" And it's like, it's just all about mindset. If you tell yourself you need to get your ass up in the morning because this is what you need to do every day, whatever your goal is, whether you just want to stay healthy, you want to stay fit. And before I get to that, I know that you've done like a lot of Sunday questions, and I think one of
Hmm.
them was about like, what do you need to do if you just want to stay healthy, you want to stay fit, and you kind of gave a little bit of advice just as a general staying fit. And I think for like the average person, if we were talking to just an average person that just wants to get into shape, just general shape, or just stay healthy, it's all about your mindset. And it's all about, yeah, you don't okay, you're gonna have days where you don't want to go, or there's days where you don't want to go in early mornings, but yeah, it hurts to get up. I mean, I'll be the first to admit it. Like there's mornings where I get up and it's hurting and I don't want to go. I don't want to go train. I don't want to go work out. I don't want to go do cardio for, 50 minutes. No, I don't want to do that shit. But I know that if I don't do it, I'm gonna look back it's gonna kick me in the ass later.
Hmm.
And for myself, like, um, I just like for me, like doing the early mornings, it's and typically that's what I have to do. At least when or if I have the day off, I do early morning fasted cardio or fasted workout, and then
Hmm.
I go do my actual workout later. Um, yeah, like there's times where if I know for sure if I don't prepare myself for it, it just gets harder and harder. But if I know I put myself out there and say, no, you're gonna get up, you're gonna do it. I know you're gonna tell yourself you don't want to do it, but you get your ass up. Don't be a bitch. And that's what I do. That's the mind is so strong. And even like when you got like days where I'm going and I'm just dragging my ass around the gym, I'm just like, no, like fuck, you're gonna do this because you need to. And
Mhm.
and I think that's like the biggest thing that I try to teach people. Like I think it was like geez, maybe like a couple months ago, and there was this older lady, or not, she wouldn't say she's older, but she maybe like maybe calling her old, maybe she might have been in her 40s, and
Mhm.
she was talking about like she's like you're really dying there, and I'm like drenched. I just got this off the stairmaster for like 50 minutes. I'm like got my head down. I'm like yeah, I'm tired. She's like oh, and she's like how do you do that? I say you just do it. Like it's hard. I mean I'm also 29 years old, and you know it's a little bit easier when you're younger for sure. Like I'm not gonna do it. Like my dad,
We would
I got
hope.
my father. Yeah, yeah, like I got my father on the stairmaster, and he does it. He does it, but he's not going hard like me, and he's not doing 50 minutes straight. And like, and she's like, I don't get it. How do you do it? Like, what do you do? And I'm like trying to teach her. I said, honestly, push through anything. You're never too old to try to do anything. And it's like, and she just kind of started. She's trying to figure out, and I was trying to show her how to do a couple things because the last thing I want to do is see her get hurt. And like I said, the biggest thing I can teach you is just when there's times that you don't want to do it or you don't want to go, that's the best time to go. Because if you just give up on the times where you say, ah, it's getting too hard, then you might as well just don't do it. Like you
Mhm.
go on the days, go do it, go work out on the days that your mindset where you got nothing going on, but you just don't want to go. And also listen to your body when you are tired, when you're sore, when you're hurting. Yeah, don't push yourself. If you've been going like 5, 6 days a week, yeah, you probably shouldn't be going every day. Take the day off, rest, but recognize, you know, those days where yeah, you don't want to go, but those are the best times
Mhm.
because that's actually sometimes when you get the best workouts. And for me, that's when I get the best workouts. And I'm talking to myself and I'm like yelling at myself. And I'm like, no, you fucking let's go. Like, stop being a bitch. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it was me talking to someone that just wants to start out, that's the advice I would give them.
The hardest thing is we want quick results really, really fast.
Exactly.
We
Yeah.
just want to do. It's like you ever see the picture? It's like, yeah, I just did 10 crunches, and you just lift up your shirt and you're looking at your stomach. You're like, do I have abs yet? Can I see them yet? And I get it. Like I have hopes and
Yeah.
dreams too, but everyone says the hardest part is to start. I get it, but I believe the hardest part is just to stay disciplined. Because the
Yeah.
Dude, we know what we have to do. Most of us know what we have to do, and we can do it. And that's why you have some people that sign up for a gym membership, go once or twice, and they're like, I'm gonna go next week. Oh, I can't make it, make whatever excuse. Like, dude,
Yep.
I
Yep.
want to learn Spanish, but how important is it for me to learn Spanish? Dude, I would love to be 100% fluent, but I'm fucking lazy. Why haven't I learned Spanish? Because it must not that be it must not be that important to me. So with that being said, and this is kind of like, damn it, I need to break Spanish. It's one of those things, man. Like we all know generally, might not be educated enough, but we know generally what we need to do. Cool. I just need to get up and go. I need to get up and work out. Doesn't matter what workout. Let's go for a run. Let's go for a
Yeah.
walk on an incline. Let's jump on the stairmaster. I don't have to kill
Yeah.
myself, but let's just do something to do something more than we did yesterday. Now,
Yeah.
the consistency is the hard part. It's like a diet, dude. When you go on a diet, I'm not a fan of diets, obviously, because I wake up for a living. It fucking sucks. After the 30 days, after the 2 months or however many days, dude, I want to eat everything I couldn't have. And that's why you see a lot of people gain so much weight after diet because it's like, dude, I stopped eating cake and burgers and tacos and pizza and all the stuff I love. And now I can have my cheat day or my day 30 is done. The challenge is done. And then you literally
Yeah.
eat maybe 2, 3 meals or two straight days of meals and get addicted to it again. And look at that. You're back at what you weighed before. I actually did a paper in college that wrestlers actually gained more weight when the season was over compared to before they even started in the season because all we did was we started fat, lost all this weight. We had 1 or 2 days to binge eat and gain all the weight back. And then we had to start back up on Monday because we had a wrestling
Yeah.
camp or a wrestling tournament on Friday and literally did the yo yo diet. But by the time the end of the season came, oh, wait, I can eat again? Oh, awesome. Wait, it's Monday and I don't have to work out? oh, okay, it's Tuesday, I still have to work on. I just keep on growing because that mindset of, oh, I might not get the food or water. So I don't believe in diets. And given nutrition has
No.
really gotten to me about this, is it needs to be a lifestyle change. You can eat tacos, you can eat burgers, you can eat pizza, but dude, two things you have to do. Either have to portion it or make this some type of reward system compared to like,
100%.
oh man, I'm gonna have a pizza every single day. No, but like, man, I ran today. I don't feel that well. You know what? Let me give myself a boost of morale. That pizza can be that boost of morale. Obviously, portion it to an extent, because honestly, we don't want the whole pizza. We just want to taste it. It's like, you know what? Cool. I can have a slice instead of all these slices. I would love more, but I'm good. At least I got this
Yeah.
sample. So portioning, drinking more water, being able to stay consistent. But also, I can tell you at least my personal experience. What I did in college to cut weight, dude, I can't even like I was dumb. I was this dumb college kid that was like, I'm getting paid 45,000 a year on a full ride to make this weight. I don't care how I make it. I'll take laxatives. I'll spit in the cup. I'll be in the sauna, even though in NCAA it was technically illegal, but all of us are in the sauna. Like we're doing all these crazy things, but we're doing it anyways because one, we don't know that much, but two, we're so motivated that we need to make weight. If you are motivated enough, again, me with the Spanish thing, and this is me talking to myself, if you're motivated enough to do something, to achieve a goal, you will 100% try to find any single way to make that goal happen, to manifest and make
Yeah.
that thing happen. For me, man, I made weight. I didn't compete the best because I did it horribly, but I made weight and I got that 45,000 a year until I finally graduated. So
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing, man. Is motivation is key, but then also when there is no motivation, being able to stay disciplined because that's what becomes the better athletes. Dude, I don't want to work out before this. I didn't want to do many things today, but I know what I need to do to win, or at least be a very successful athlete, or hopefully just not get beat up. And I need to work. And if I don't work, I won't get paid. I won't get better. I
Yeah.
won't feed myself. I won't feed my loved ones or whatever the case may be. So it's whatever
Yeah.
motivation's in you, but also knowing that discipline will keep you really 100% focused on to, or hopefully close to that, to push forward and achieve whatever goal you have. So if it's important to you, you'll do it. And if it's not that important, you'll find every excuse with it.
Yeah, 100%. And one of the things you brought up was lifestyle change. And that's one thing I learned the most was my biggest fear after I did my show was I told my coach and said, man, and he's like, Luke, I know you're going to want to enjoy yourself. Yes, go enjoy yourself tonight or go enjoy yourself tonight, tomorrow morning, get yourself a nice breakfast, etc. He's like, but I'm going to put you on this reverse diet and it's going to teach you to control your cravings because you're going to want to eat everything, right? I'm like, yep, here you go. I got everything on my phone. And that was probably the biggest thing I learned was, and also too, like, I mean, life's expensive. And obviously my wife and I, like, you know, we try to eat balance, but she's very good with trying to be good with me as well. But like, there's been things that you can do. And there is no sense of dieting, and I hate people that try to diet. It's just learn how to live your life differently. Like be conscious. I think that's the biggest thing is be conscious of how you eat, what you're eating. Like for example, I'll give you a really good example. So my wife and I, the one Sunday she wanted to do burgers, and the first thing that goes in my mind is, oh fuck, I can't eat it because oh you got bread, depending on what kind of burgers they are. But I looked at it and I said, okay, no, Luke, you're gonna fucking eat it because that's what your wife's gonna do. That's what your wife wants to do for dinner. So what do? I look at it, I'm like, well, I got these lean burgers that pretty much have nothing, but it's just lean burgers. It's lean meat. Okay. But I look at it, I'm like, okay, I can eat two of them. Either I can eat it with a lettuce wrap, so I'm getting my vegetables. I can choose to have my instead of having just like fries on the side, I can just make my own potatoes and have my own carbs that is just straight up potatoes. There's nothing added to it, and just eat that plain. Or I can just eat the two burgers. And a normal person might be, no, I'm gonna eat my burgers. I want my bread. But for me, I know that that's not good for me. I know that's not good. So I make those changes to know that I can still live my life because again, like I'm not competing anymore, but I can still enjoy my life, but make those changes, those little changes that, hey, I could be eating those two buns that have, whatever calories and all those carbs, or I can enjoy having burgers and modify it to to be healthy and to not reset. And another thing I really learned, and I don't know if you've ever learned this or if you ever heard this as well, is about drinking. And don't get me wrong, I had my fair shares. I've had some nights I'm not proud of in the last little while with me and my wife. But the biggest thing I learned about drinking, actually from my coach, was that, and for people that don't know this that are watching this, it does suppress your muscle growth, and it also there's studies that it reduces your muscle protein synthesis, and it also raises cortisol and lowers your testosterone. And that's why you see a lot of those guys that like drink a lot of beer or drink a lot of beer almost every day. They get the big beer guts with man tits because it raises your cortisol levels, and it's
Mhm.
almost like it just basically takes off a week of training. So I look at it like, and I understand I've had like, I'm not a big drinker to begin with, but I'm a very social guy. And once I start drinking a little bit, I get kind of carried away. I'm like, oh, I'm feeling good. And then I want to keep going. And that's my problem. But I know that, okay, you know what? You fuck, you just waste a week, but okay, I can't do that every week. So what do I need to do? I need to look back and say, okay, maybe I need to work twice as hard for the next couple weeks, get through those next couple weeks and get back to where I was. But I own that, right? And I think people, I don't know if have you learned about that before?
What?
About like how like the studies about drinking and how it can take away muscle growth.
Not that it can take away muscle growth, but I mean, just in general. I mean,
It's
drinking,
not good
especially
for you in
beer.
general. Yeah.
Yeah, in general, it's not good for you. But then beer
It's
also
not
has a lot
good
of
for you.
carbs.
Yeah.
So it's like and given people obviously work their way around it to a certain extent. But then what I believe is especially when people ask me for diets or weight cuts or whatever the case may be, especially when it comes to a lifestyle change, there's typical things I believe you need to follow. And then obviously, dude, go on YouTube, go on the internet, like type in different lifestyle tips that are just more everyday healthy stuff.
Yeah.
Walk at least 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
That's typical. You don't have to go for a run. You don't have to do the incline. Like, yeah, it'd be great. And I think everyone should do it, especially as you get older. You want to stay as healthy as you possibly can if you can't do stuff anymore. But being able to do that, being able to stretch whenever you possibly can, every once in a great while. You don't have to stretch every day, but something mobility wise. So make sure you can stay active. Drink at least 6 liters of water a day. No, not 6 liters, 3 liters of water a day. That's almost about a half a
Yeah.
gallon, if not more, of water. Um, Make sure you're eating at least minimum 3 meals a day, but make sure they're portioned. You're not, going too crazy in the carbs. You're not going too crazy in the protein. You're not going too crazy in the fat. Make sure hopefully everything's portioned, and just make sure you don't have to eat until you're full. And I think that's another big thing people
Yeah.
think of. That they need to be full. To help drink water while you're eating. Trust me, you'll feel full very, very soon if you drink enough water. And just overall, for the most part what you need to eat. You don't need to eat greens every single day. That's phenomenal. Don't drink the green shake I had every single day. But hey, if it's there for you, like, dude, if you can do it
Yeah.
once or twice a week, why not? Something a little bit different. But just being able to overall have a healthy mindset, I think, is the biggest part, but also how bad you want to be healthy. And again, if you can't find some type of motivation for yourself, then do it for somebody else. If you have a significant other, your family members that care for you, all this other stuff. Like, dude, my father, and again, other people's parents have passed away very young. My father passed away at 54 from a heart attack, given all he had was Kool-Aid, Coca-Cola, and nothing but fried food majority of the time. So that didn't help. He also smoked, I don't know how many pounds of weed a week. Like, dude, that guy was a chimney, so it didn't help. So there's thing, and he knew all the time. He's like, oh, dude, I'm gonna die young because I do all these things. Like, hey, man, if you want to pick your life that way, go do so. But there's some people
Mhm.
who are trying to live for other people or who want to enjoy their time more with
Yeah.
others. Then do it for them. Find some type of motivation. There's always something. You just have to really look for it.
For sure, for sure. And now, one last thing. What's your thoughts about marijuana um, and the idea? And again, I'm not promoting this, but
Yeah, yeah.
marijuana and CBD helping athletes, especially even fighters.
I mean, I'm not against it. I've never been against it even when it was technically illegal back in the day. You look at, for example, marijuana, shrooms, and I think there's a couple other things, but not many more medicinal drugs, if you want to say. that can help benefit you. I can tell
Yeah.
you from one personal experience of not just for athletic performance, but even just naturally relieving pain. I had a friend who sadly passed away eventually from, I believe he had cancer in his eye, to where his eye got removed. Eventually it spread. He went blind. Eventually it spread more. And, man passed away. But I remember going in there, and I think I was 14 or so at the time, and going in there. It was one of my brother's best friends, and he goes, the nurse walks in and she goes, excuse me, like what's your pain level today? 1 to 10. And he's just like super nonchalant. He's been in there for like 2 weeks already, so he's already used to
Yeah.
stuff. He's kind of like, probably about like a 7.5, close to an 8. And I'm just like, dude, like that, you sure? He goes, well, I'm in pain, man. Like it is what it is. Like cancer. Yeah, it got me. It's like I got the cancer. Like that's just how he was messing around. He didn't care. But my brother and I, obviously, when it was illegal, like my brother would bring him like marijuana brownies, like weed brownies, and he would eat that, and he's like, dude, it just makes me feel so much better because I don't
Yeah.
feel the pain as much. I get to move more. He goes, dude, I'm dying. Let me enjoy myself. Like this, I can actually move. Hell, I'm full of anxiety. This helps relieve my anxiety. I'm not thinking of so many things. I just get to space out and enjoy what's in front of me and have a good time. And he was also relieving his pain. I can
Yeah.
tell you when I was in Florida, when I had my MCL torn, dude, I couldn't straighten my leg. They're like, "Oh, I want you to take some OxyContin." I was like, I'd rather just take some gummies and take some edibles. Like it's the same thing, but OxyContin is like that's a narcotic type of drug, dude.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get addicted to that. I'd rather
Yeah.
do weed when I know I can technically stop anytime I want. Obviously, people
100%.
get addicted to it, but that's just their mentality. But for me, I took some THC pills, and I'm just like, this is great. I barely feel my leg. I probably still should walk, but I barely feel my leg, and I can move compared
Yeah.
to when I would take OxyContin, dude. And again, doctors recommended it. I would take it, and I'm like freaking out, and I was like, man, I want some more because that was the best sleep I ever had. And it's like, oh, dude, I'm getting addicted. So I think when it comes to like shrooms and medical marijuana and CBD, dude, if it's grown on in the ground from the earth, like take it, man, enjoy it. But I'm not a huge, but it's also I grew up within my family, so for all these people that say it's bad or this, okay, then don't do it. But if it helps me, let it help me. I'm not taking crack. I'm not taking cocaine. I'm not killing anybody. I'm not hurting anybody. So let
Yeah.
me take my marijuana or let me take my shrooms to help better myself and my career
Yeah.
or my lifestyle or whatever the case may be. But I 100% agree with it. It obviously use it in the proper sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we could be talking about this all night. We are running up on time. So Shorty, I don't know if you got anything left, but in the tank there, but
Um, I guess the last thing I would say, and I've already kind of repeated this, is if you
yeah.
really want something, for the most part, you know what you have to do.
Mhm.
If you honestly don't know, or if obviously need help, dude, ask somebody, ask people, ask your friends, ask your family, even the dumbest advice, dude, take it in. It might actually help you. You might go, hmm, that actually sounds really dumb. I am not going to do that because maybe I was possibly going to do that. So try to figure something out. Go online, go on YouTube, go on Instagram, hell, message a fitness person, whatever the case may be, but make it a lifestyle change. Don't make it a diet because once the diet's over and you've done it in fitness and bodybuilding and stuff like that, and I've done it obviously in MMA. Once that diet's over, dude, I gained all my weight back. And I'm like, fuck. Oh God, I wasted 2 months. I miss that body. I wish I could have it back. And given I get back to it, but I rather I'd rather stay closer. And again, this is all something nutrition told me years ago, but now I'm old enough and mature enough, hopefully, to understand of like, damn, I should have made a lifestyle change. I could have controlled myself a little bit more and my career would have been better. I could have done so many other things or could have been better at other things because of my lifestyle change compared to the lifestyle I had then. And I was doing this fasted diet of yo-yoing up and down. And dude, I just want to walk the dog and just have some fun. So that's again, make it a lifestyle change and make it now because as we always say, man, I wish I would have done this earlier. The earlier the better. So let's do it now. Let's not wait until tomorrow.
For sure, for sure. Listen, preach, brother. But
Mhm.
anyway, man, and like I said, I appreciate you always coming on and we having these talks, and it's always fun. And this
Come
is
on,
episode
fireworks.
9. I want to call it episode 8, episode 9. I'm getting so confused.
This
It's
one.
just Yeah. Oh, look at this. He's got the
I'm
you're
trying.
at the
I'm.
rave now.
Oh no, there you go. This one. It's this one. It's this one.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah.
Late for Fourth of
Yeah.
July, but it still works.
It still works. You were at a rave and then you're at the fireworks. Uh, I don't know. You definitely weren't at a train. You were just at a rave, man.
Dude, I'm
Haters will say it's
exhausted.
fake.
Obviously, so
Haters will say
it
it's
looks.
fake, but
Dude, my hair looks like it is fake. I can tell you that. Haters or not, I can tell you my hair looks like a wig right now. But with that being
my
said,
hair
dude, I
looks like
appreciate you.
God.
I can't wait. I know we're gonna have a great guest on for the next show, UFC
Yes,
veteran,
Friday.
and we're gonna have a lot of fun. So I appreciate you, Luke. Thank you so much for your time. I hope everyone's enjoying it. And if you guys want us to answer any type of questions, do message us on Instagram or leave in the comments below, and we're more than happy to help facilitate you as best we can.